Good evening. You are on StratNews Global. Of late, in fact, early this week, you would have heard of announcement by the government that it is going to clear or it has cleared the buying of 48,000 crores worth of Tejas LCA, the light combat aircraft for the Indian Air Force, worth almost 48,000 crore rupees. This is one of the biggest news ever for the Indian aerospace industry. And in fact, this has spurred a discussion that, after all, Make in India and defense is getting the required boost finally, after so many years of attempts and so many years of planning since at least 2016, when the government of Narendra Modi decided to make in India, to have Make in India as one of its major programs to make India self sufficient, not just in other sectors, but also in defense. That's the topic of today's Simply Nitin, and I'm Nitin Gokhale. So, as you are aware, the government sanctioned the Cabinet Committee on Security, cleared the big deal of 48,000 crores for the Indian Air Force to buy the 83 uh, light combat aircraft named Tejas Mark 1A is the version that will be bought for the Indian Air Force. 40 of the earlier version, that is Mark 1, are already in the service with the Air Force. But Mark 1A will decidedly be an improvement on the Tejas, which was initially inducted after the initial operational clearance in 2013 in the Indian Air Force. And the final operational clearance was given to Mark 1, Tejas Mark 1 in 2019. But this is big news because the 83 LCAs, LCA Mark 1 that are going to be inducted into the Indian Air Force will not only allow the Indian Air Force to make up for the numbers that are fast depleting, especially the series of MiG 21 squadrons that have been now scrapped or ended because the MiG 21s have outlived their shelf life, outlived their life in the Indian Air Force. So, major decision, not just for the Indian Air Force, but also for the Indian aerospace industry, which we will talk about. Why I want to compare this to a landmark event in the Indian aerospace industry and India's journey to self-reliance in defense is because uh, the contract value is 48,000 crores, the biggest contract for Make in India. That's something that we must acknowledge, that the government has finally uh, taken the decision to go the Indian way or the Make in India way. Because remember, in 2016, September 2016, when the Rafale deal was signed, the deal was worth for 59,000 crores for buying state of the art modern aircraft that Rafale is a twin engine aircraft for the Indian Air Force, 36 of them. That contract is worth 59,000 crore. But the contract for the HAL at 48,000 crore will mean uh, creation and a boost to the Indian ecosystem. The aerospace industry in India, which is fledgling, besides HAL, which is the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, a state-owned enterprise, there is no big player in Indian aerospace industry. But this will now allow the fledgling players in the aerospace industry, both companies which are in the MSME sector and even smaller ones, the micro, medium, and small enterprises, which will form part of the supply chain for this. This is what the boost that the aerospace industry will get in India. It is fledgling, as I said. There are several companies which are trying to get into this space, but because now HAL will source most of its component, nearly 70% of the components of the Tejas Mark 1A will be sourced locally, and 59% of the value of 48,000 crores will go to Indian companies. So you can imagine 60% of 48,000 crores, nearly 60% of 48,000 crores will go into Indian industry. It will create jobs, it will create a kind of money supply, and also bring in expertise for the local industry and for HAL. Now, this is a major step, the biggest step for self-reliance in defense, and this must be celebrated. Not much discussion has taken place on this except for reports and other ones. Now, of course, the nearly 500 companies will be part of it. 75 of them will be MSMEs who will be supplying components, major parts. The major parts are the front fuselage, the midsection, and the tail. Apart from the missile technology, which will be again sourced from the DRDO and its associate companies, except for the engine of the LCA, which is still a weakness in the Indian aerospace industry. Most of the important parts and components and subcomponents will come from the Indian industry. Now, that is something that should be celebrated, should be acknowledged, that the government has finally given the much wanted boost to the Indian aerospace industry. It's fledgling, as I keep saying, but from here on, over the next 6 years, the Indian aerospace industry is set to do much better than it has done before, and it is set to create many more jobs in this sector. What next? LCA done, LCA Mark 1A done. LCA Mark 2 will be a different category of aircraft, but which we'll talk about in a subsequent episode perhaps. But another boost that is likely to come to the Indian aerospace industry is a joint venture of Airbus and Tata's to procure 56 transport aircraft for the Indian Air Force. That contract is under negotiation right now, and I expect that to be announced during Aero India show next month, between 3rd and 5th February, to be held in Bengaluru. So therefore, this contract itself will come as a follow-up to a great initiative, a great beginning for boosting the aerospace industry. Not just the Indian Air Force. In fact, self-reliance in defense now is a given in the Indian Armed Forces across the three services. As you would have read in recent reports in the media, the Indian Army has also contracted a 20 million deal with an Indian company incubated by IIT Bombay. The company is called Idea Forge. This will supply tactical drones to the Indian Army because the need for more tactical drones was felt during the ongoing LAC crisis in Ladakh. And Idea Forge, which is a well-known drones company in India, completely indigenous, also done by or formed and run by Indians who got initial support from IIT Bombay. This company will supply tactical drones to Indian Army, and the deal is worth $20 million, and this should come as again a boost to the local MSMEs in this. So more Make in India contracts are in the offing. They will be signed or at least announced in the coming months. They include artillery guns, the submarines for the Navy, artillery guns for the Army, helicopters for the Indian Air Force. All this will come through in the next 1 year or so. But coming back to Tejas, now Tejas actually got a boost when it was first taken outside India. In fact, when it flew to Bahrain Air Show in January 2016, and immediately, promptly, there was a comparison between the Bahrain, the Tejas and JF-17, which is a joint Pakistan-China venture. They were supposed to be placed next to each other at the Bahrain Air Show, where I was. In fact, this footage is taken by me, a very amateurish footage taken by me. I was the only Indian journalist, in fact, I should say, to be present at that air show in Bahrain, where Tejas demonstrated its abilities and its skills at the Bahrain Air Show. When the Pakistanis and the Chinese heard of the Tejas coming there, they withdrew the JF-17 because comparisons would have been made between the two aircraft, and finally only Tejas was left to be demonstrated, apart from the other bigger companies, well-known OEMs of in the aerospace industry had come there. But Tejas made a mark. It made a splash in Bahrain in January 2016, and since then it has not looked back. It's been a long journey for Tejas. It started in 1983, as you know, the development, and as I mentioned, the IOC, the initial operation clearance to Tejas, was given in 2013 by the Indian Air Force. Final operation clearance for Mark 1, the first of the lot, was given in 2019. But this is the Tejas footage in Bahrain when it was displayed for the first time and in an international air show. This, of course, is a GoPro footage of the pilot, which was mounted on his helmet. And he actually, the show there was stolen by the Tejas because of its display that they put up at the Bahrain Air Show in January 2016. That was a landmark event in Tejas' journey, a long journey since 1983. In a way, I identify with it because I started my career in journalism in 1983. And Tejas is as old as my career, 37 years and more. And I'm glad it is being inducted. It has been accepted finally. The Air Force has backed it now. The government has backed it. And there is all likelihood that many countries in Asia and in Africa will eventually ask for Tejas. Great potential for exports, but all that will come a little later. When the fulfillment of Indian orders will be done, Tejas is bound to be exported to smaller countries in Asia and Africa. Now, the Mark 1A, which is what the Indian Air Force has ordered under this deal of 48,000 crores, has a lot of improvements over Mark 1. The improvements include mid-air refueling. It includes beyond visual range missiles and electronic warfare suit that will be there. And of course, the improvement in the performance of the engine has also been factored in the Mark 1A. So JF-17, as I mentioned, doesn't even come close to the Tejas Mark 1A when it will be inducted into the Indian Air Force. Although one must not underestimate the adversary. The fact is, Tejas is a beautiful aircraft. In fact, I remember a quote by the test pilot in Bahrain when I met him after he had completed his sortie. Some of the observers who had come, aviation journalists, aviation observers, one of them said, Tejas is a beautiful aircraft. It is still not a fighter. It is not yet a fighter, a combat jet. Now, with all these improvements, which I mentioned, beyond visual range missiles, electronic warfare suit, mid-air refueling, Tejas will also become a combat jet, which India should be proud of. Now, self-reliance in defense has become a reality, given the tight budgets that Defense Ministry and the Defense Forces face, and the fact that the drones that Indian Army is now sourcing from the local manufacturer, a startup, is something that one must be proud of. There was another very significant event on 15 January, which was yesterday on Army Day. A local startup with the help of the Indian Army, local startup based in Bengaluru, actually demonstrated the ability for drone swarms. That one mothership of drones comes in, and then several drones come out of that. They target multiple targets, as you can see here in this video, and then they join back in the mothership. They have multiple functions they can carry out. They can drop loads, they can drop essential supplies, and of course also target multiple targets of the adversary. And that was something that was unique and novel in the Army Day display at the Army Day parade at Delhi Cant, where the Indian Army chief took the salute and the entire top brass was present. So this will This demonstration has also boosted the confidence of the Indian Armed Forces that there are startups, there are companies in India which can meet their future requirements, where AI, artificial intelligence, and such new technologies are being brought into the Indian Army and the Indian Armed Forces as a whole. So, all in all, I would think the good beginning that the government has made for Make in India has got a boost with this order, or this decision to order 83 LCA Mark 1A for the Indian Air Force. But there are other examples I've talked about where drones are being inducted, drones are being manufactured in India. There will be artillery guns, there will be submarines, there will be helicopters, and many other smaller items and platforms that will be done through Make in India. So, willy nilly, all major OEMs, and they are the big players in defense market internationally, they will also be forced now to look for joint ventures in India, set up manufacturing facilities, and give big bang for the buck that the Indian Armed Forces spend. This will also save a lot of foreign exchange once many of these items and platforms that are being first designed and manufactured under the new category, which was introduced in 2016, called indigenously designed, developed, and manufactured. All these procurements will get a boost, will give a boost to the Indian defense and aerospace industry as well as MSMEs. Now, there are some questions. Obviously, some people have some observation about what has happened. So let me just say, some people have asked, can you do comparison of JF-17 and Tejas? Well, I'm not a professional in that field, but certainly I'll get you somebody, and we will do an interview with an expert, and we will talk about the comparison between JF-17 and the Tejas Mark 1A as we get somebody to come there. There will be, of course, some people about asking about, I think Santosh Singh has asked about engine development by DRDO. Even that has started. I do not have much details at the moment, so I will refrain from talking about it. But certainly, DRDO is on the job. Somebody has pointed out to me, Manavendra Singh has pointed out that suicide drone is named Firefly. Thank you for that information. I did not know. But that Firefly certainly stole the show at the Army Day parade on Friday. That was yesterday. And Varun Arya has said, has replied to somebody's query that Astra Mk1 is already integrated on the Tejas. And he's also saying that we already have Heron and armed drones, which are suicidal drones. Yes, Herons are Israelis, but the indigenous drones are in short supply at the moment. But as I said, orders have been given, and there will be more and more orders given to Indian companies rather. Then Vinod Rautela has said, good to see development in aerospace and air force that includes aircraft. And I think India seems to have learned from the Azerbaijan-Armenia conflict. So I think people are very happy. We Indians should be happy that this is happening. And as I mentioned, somebody else has said, Sharat Kulkarni has thanked us for taking up this subject. Well, we try and do as much as possible, but keep watching, keep giving us information and suggestions. Also, there are a couple of other questions. I think people are talking to each other also on the chats. So I'm not going to get into this, but somebody has asked a different question. Sarthak Agarwal, what is happening to OFB corporatization? Well, I think that's also in the process. That is something that the government is working on. I'm sure it will come soon. There are other questions. Somebody, Amay Wadnerkar, has paid some 100 rupees. Thank you very much, Amay, for that contribution. Every small contribution helps. And In fact, I would suggest, if you all like what Ankit Chaudhary has also, I think, paid 40 rupees in this just now. So, my appeal to all of you, if you like our program, if you like our channel, do keep contributing whatever you can. We can do with every help possible, because after all, our kind of journalism, our kind of expertise that my team brings to the table does require money to sustain ourselves. Of course, I'm not saying that you have to be the only ones to push it, but the Keshda has asked me a question. Going back to questions, can you share details of sub vendors? Where there are tier one sub vendors like WEM Technology. There is the Dynamatics company, which is in Bangalore, and also there is one more. I forget right now. These three are the main vendors, and then there will be 75 odd tier 2 vendors. Then, of course, tier 3 will be more than 500. So, the building of an ecosystem is something that will come out of this big order that the government has given. And of course, a lot of people are talking about situation in Ladakh. I've been giving you the updates once in a while, every week, and sometimes in the midweek also. So we will keep doing all that. Yes, some Aditya has asked, Banage has asked about the AK-203 deal. I think even that is on the verge of being finalized. There were some issues about sharing royalty or something else, but all that is happening. So all in all, well, I want to say this, that this is just a beginning. Um, well, this question by Vishal Yadav is the last one I'm going to take. That will HAL deliver MK1 in time? It has to deliver. There's no other choice. We are with our backs to the wall. The squadron strength of the combat jets in the Indian Air Force has depleted to an alarming level, and therefore we need HAL to deliver. Right now, they have promised, I think, 16 aircraft per year. So I think by 2026, we should be HAL should be able to deliver all of these 83 aircraft, and this is how the ecosystem is built. The next stage will be the AMCA, the Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft, which is something that Air Force is fully backing. The Indian Air Force, in fact, is after its initial skepticism, long years of skepticism about Tejas, I'm glad to say, has overcome that reservation about Tejas, and has jointly now come up with what is required in the Tejas, the various components, various capabilities. And I think something that we should all be proud about, although it has taken a long time, as I said, 37 years since the project was conceived. But like they say, der aaye durust aaye, better late than never. And I think this is a game changer as far as Indian defense and aerospace industry, as well as the entire program for Make in India and defense and self-reliance in defense is concerned. There are several questions coming up, but I think this is Porush Balsara has right now paid 400 rupees. Thank you very much, Porush. Every contribution, as I mentioned, helps. And do keep watching StratNews Global. We have our social media handles, as you know. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel in larger numbers. Those of you who are already subscribers are, I'm sure, are here. But please spread the word among your friends and families and your colleagues, so that we can keep bringing to you as many updates as possible. And of course, keep giving you information that normally you will not find on other channels or other digital platforms. We will continue to engage with you like we have been doing right from the beginning when we started in January 2020, just a year ago. But your support, your feedback, and your encouragement has kept us going. And we've had a very good first year, but we need to take it to the next level. So do support, do keep sending feedback, and do keep subscribing, and keep watching Simply Nitin. I'm Nitin Gokhale.